We will explore the topic today, the hidden food crisis in childhood. I saw this post where it said, one walks miles to get food, another walks miles to digest the food or to recover from the food that one has eaten. So that kind of stuck with me. Somewhere in between is where we are, the present day, definitely children. Now, some adults, we are getting a bit more conscious after a certain age, after we encounter certain physical issues. But majority of the children, they are not starving, but they're not nourished either. I mean, we are not talking about that group of children who are malnourished, who are really starving. We are looking at average, most of the children that we see around us. This is the new childhood food crisis. Food crisis, when we say that, it still means hunger or lack of food, or something that we are dying. But it's not that anymore, at least in the modern households, where increasingly children are overly fed but undernourished. And you can look at that, our stomachs are full but our bodies are depleted. Now, we see that in school systems a lot. Children can't stand in the assembly for more than 10-12 minutes anymore. If it is hot, they can't withstand that heat. Somewhere, it could be the quality of the food, but we are also looking at the mindset here, where the nervous system is overwhelmed, too much of stimulation, too many things happening, too many food options. So the relationship with food is getting confused. You go to a movie, they sell you all sorts of stuff, and midnight you're snacking. Right? You go to a birthday party, there is more than enough of food, junk food. Right? So the relationship with food is different, even for a child. Uh, Even before they begin to understand, even before their adolescence, somewhere food has become, how we should question this, has food become an entertainment instead of nourishment? Is it used to stimulate? We used to have, if you look at some old fashioned meal serving, there used to be one papad served, little bit of pickle. They were condiments. They were adding flavors or textures to our food. But now I can live on papad. Is the food uh, one way to stimulate us, excite us, and then make us addict to it? Is the food used to distract us? And is the food used to reward? If you finish your homework, I'll take you for an ice cream. Right? And there are a lot of these ads that come up, bright packaging, fast delivery, crunchy baked fruits. There is one guy on Instagram, I don't remember his name. He does this comparison, lychee juice, there's no lychee in it at all. And my neighbor, she owns a mango farm. She said the mango juice making companies take any kind of raw mangoes, fallen on the ground, rotting, whatever, they just take it. Even raw mangoes, they make juice out of. They add essence to it, they add color to it. So, have we become accustomed to this constant grazing? Where it is increasing the craving but not really adding nourishment to us. If you look at the situation, forget children, even us, we don't have to wait for meals anymore. Meals are there, more than enough variety are there. After the frozen food concept has come in, you have puran poli, you have frozen parathas, you have frozen everything that you can have at your fingertips. I mean, India, we are blessed with Zomatos and Swiggies, who deliver it to you in 10 minutes, fresh ones. But That's how much we are inundated with food around us. We can snack all through the day. Pastime has become snacking time. I used to do that. I got bored. I used to work bored, or I was not able to think. I was not getting a solution. I invariably walk up to the kitchen, get myself a cup of coffee, because in my office, coffee was always there. So the body never really rests. The digestion system never rests, never completes. There is never a gap. There is never a feeling of hunger. Many of us, even when we are on, let's say, intermittent diet or whatever, we eat because if I don't eat now, I don't get to eat for next 12 hours. So whether I'm hungry or not, eat now. Ayurveda was always told, drink when you're thirsty, eat when you're hungry, never eat stomach full. You should not be overfed. You should leave room for food to kind of move around in your stomach. So there is a good mixing happening and then absorption. And then walk, 100 steps, shata, patha, just walk back and forth. I remember my grandfather, it was his invariable rhythm. Have lunch or dinner, eat his little betel nut, crushed betel nuts and betel leaves and lime. Eat that and keep walking in front of the house, for 10 minutes. Now movement has disappeared. We sit in front of the TV and we eat, and we sit after eating. And for children, it's barely any movement. So how can a healthy digestion happen? Right? Children sit in school, in after school tuition, before school, whatever, during the transport, sit with the screens. A few children are lucky, especially when you live in an apartment setup, children go out and play. So the body was designed for this rhythm and movement, and both we have lost. That's the crisis. Right? So without movement, digestion certainly weakens, metabolism slows. I keep measuring myself, some weighing scale. My metabolic age is 65. Well, I'm 58. So it is slowed down despite us having gone through a lot more movement, and we had to wait for meals, and we didn't get all the luxuries of, it's not actually a luxury, of eat any kind, every kind, all varieties, Despite that, metabolism has weakened. Also my emotional state has an effect on my body. With poor digestion, my emotions kind of stagnate, my attention decreases, my sleep is disturbed, so many other things happen. That's the crisis. Right? So what we need to be looking for is where to observe. It's not just the calories that we need to measure up to, more like, is my child getting enough minerals? So variety of food. In not all cooked and baked, and some raw, some cooked, some partially cooked, things like that. Sunlight. Everyone is deficient with vitamin D now, right? But we need to do something in the sunlight, gardening, walking, playing out. If you have a balcony where the sun comes, sit out and play there a game of dice or whatever. Pay attention to giving that movement to children, rhythm, connection with the real food, going to market, picking the vegetables up, cleaning them, observing the texture, and cooking with them. Help me chop the onions, help me peel the onions, right from young age. It's not that go study, I'll feed you. This is study. Learning, I mean, they learn about, I mean, I do have, I do remember we have a lesson on nutrition in grade 6, but nothing of it ever sticks. We know protein is body building um, constituent of, this food pyramid, whatever. Carbohydrates do this and fats do that, and minerals and vitamins do this. That's about it. We do it for exams and we are done. Only later we say, oh my god, I'm consuming too much of carbohydrate, so it's increasing my glucose, so I need to cut down on that. All that is later when we are unable to do certain things. So we need to go back and make this food sacred. You know how it used to be earlier, before you served food on the plate and you just offered it to God. No elaborate puja, no nothing, just a gesture of thank you and bless my food, and then bless everybody who made this food possible to come into my plate, and carry on with your eating. Not eating in the cars, not eating with the screens, not when I'm stressed. I mean, child may be stressed out of exams or whatever. They don't want to eat, but then, we want to finish the dinner time. So come eat. Not when we are multitasking. And if you can practice silence during mealtime, that is when you get connected with the food. And if you chew it long enough, that is when you start tasting the food. It's not like the chips that have been additives to make us addictive and crave for it more. Natural foods are not that. We need to extract that essence in it. So the hunger has to be natural. I need to feel my hunger. And that happens only when I stop grazing constantly. What children truly need is not all that variety of the food, but more of rhythm, simplicity, movement, definitely, participation. Having them help you out with cooking, cleaning, serving, purposeful activities, being calm, being connected. That's where I need to begin looking. Am I rushing through the meals? Does my child know where the food comes from? That's my real goal. It is not just simply to make them eat healthy. If I tell them this is healthy, eat it, they may not like it. But the reason why we eat it, I know in one of my friends, she took her son into McDonald's kitchen. And the way they did things over there, the child stopped eating the burgers. Reality and how clean is our kitchen, how healthy it is. Sharing those stories is what really connects. So bringing back that rhythm, bringing that moment, bring that simplicity, consciousness of the food, and definitely understanding what each food brings and how we work together to get this food on the table. Think about it. Thank you.